Hello everyone and welcome to Mikey's Makerville Project's YouTube channel. Today we're going to learn how to do face recognition and it's going to work like this.
So this is how the face recognition software works. You can see it's detecting my face. And now it's detecting 2 faces. And here's detecting 3 faces.
Alright, pretty cool. If that's what you're looking for, stay tuned and I'll show you where to get the scripts and then I'll also go into detail on how these scripts work. So let's start. Hello everyone and welcome to Mikey's Makerville Project's YouTube channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a face recognition Python script. So if you want to just dive right into it, we can just go straight to the GitHub link and go to Makerville Hero with a 0 for the O, chapter 1. And here you'll see a bunch of files. We have our face recognition file and our hard cascade. Those are the 2 files that you're going to need to make face recognition work. You're also going to need a picture of each of the person you need to recognize, of course. There are some dependencies here in the README, so you can look over those and make sure you have the right software installed. If you have any questions about installing this, you can watch the previous video where I'd show you how to do your setup and installation, and I'll put a link below for that. Okay, so we'll download that and pull it up. So here we go. We have our face recognition file and of course all my images of the people that I want to recognize. And let's get to the code. Okay, so I'll go over this pretty quickly so you understand how it works. If you have any questions, again, see that previous video. It explains all this in more detail. Here are the libraries that we've downloaded and installed. Now we're importing those because we're going to use them for facial recognition. Here we're going to print all of our versions. I think it's really important to know your version. If something doesn't work, it's usually because your version is not compatible with the script. I also have commented out the versions that you need here, just so you really don't mess up that one. Okay, so how do you detect a person's face in a streaming video? Well, you use something called a hard cascade and a cascade classifier, and it looks at every single frame and it detects if there's a person in the frame. The way how it's going to do this is it's going to look for a frontal face. This specific one is called hard cascade frontal face. There are other ones for the profile, there's other ones for the full body, there's other ones for dog's face. This is going to look for a front view of a person's face. And it's going to detect the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and calculate all the distances between all of those features. And it's going to save that information kind of like a fingerprint. And that's how it knows who is who when it detects a face. So we'll save that as a variable and use that later. We're going to save our image capture as a variable, and we're going to use that later too. So now here, the first thing we need to do is take all of the images that we have of the people we want to detect. Remember, straight on pictures, just one of each person, and we're going to save those and load those image files. Now, the nice thing about this type of face recognition system is that you only need that one picture, and it'll figure out who the person is. There are other ways to do it where you may want to use a whole bunch of pictures and use machine learning and AI, and that's a different level. We're not working with that one today. It's just one picture per person, and you'll see it works really well. Okay, so each person we're going to save as a face image. We're going to take that face image and we're going to save it as a face encoding. Then we're going to take each of those face encodings and make a big known face encodings array, and that's where we're storing all of our data of all the people we're trying to find in our pictures. Okay, now I have 7 people here. You can have 1 person or you can have 200 people. Just make sure you're consistent with the numbers, the names of your face images and face encodings. Okay, now we have to see what we see in the camera and detect that person and see if they're one of the known face encodings that we have saved. So we're going to do a while loop where we're going to save the image, and then we're going to each frame, and we're going to make it a grayscale, and then we're going to use our face cascade and run it through. That's the hard cascade. We're going to run it through each frame and see, did we see a face? And if we see a face, we're going to put a border around that face, x comma y, and x plus width comma y plus height, and make a box around it. Here it happens to be a green box with a width of 2. We're not actually going to show the box. What we are going to show is a little dash sign. Oops. So every time we find a face, a little dash will pop up. We'll run this through the command line so it'll be easy to see. So then when we found a face, we're going to take that image, because there's a face in there, and we're going to save that image as a one-photo-new JPEG file. We're going to keep saving over top of it. We're not collecting any data, but it is important to know that if when you're doing face recognition that you don't want to collect any information that might identify a person without their permission. You just want to be safe. Okay, so now we found a person. We don't know who it is. So we're going to take that photo and we're going to save it as an image file, as an unknown image. And then we're going to take that unknown image and we're going to save it as an encoding. This is the exact same steps we did before with the known images. Now we're going to do it with every time we see an unknown image. So now we're going to have our face encoding, our for loop to look through our unknown face encoding. And we're going to do a compare. And this is where the magic happens. We're going to look at our unknown face encoding for that unknown person. Who is this that we just found? And we're going to look at it through our known face encodings, and we're going to see if there's a match. And if there is, we're going to save it as a variable called results, and it's going to be as an array. And if results equals 0, then we know it's Mark. If results equals 1, then we know it's Chris. If it's 2, then it's Andrew. And this all goes back to our list here. Mark was the first one we saved. Chris was the second one we saved. Andrew was the third one we saved. And it'll go right through there. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to save the name as unknown because we don't know who it is yet. And therefore, if we don't find a match, it'll just stay as unknown. And that way we can say we detected a person, but we don't know who it is. If we do find a match, then we'll rename it as the person that we detected. Pretty straightforward. And then what are we going to do with that information? Well, we're going to print a line that says, hi, name, whoever it is that you found, I see you. Pretty straightforward, pretty basic, but it works, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, actually, then when you're done, since this is a video stream, we need to stop it somehow. So we have our command to hit Q to quit. There's a lot going on here with for loops and while loops and a lot of calculations, so it may not always detect you hitting the Q button. If you can't stop it, then you can always hit Control-C and it'll end the program. Okay, and then of course we want to release our video capture device and destroy all windows. All right, so let's give it a try. Okay, so now that we've learned how to make a face recognition Python script, let's run it and make sure it works. So we'll open up our command prompt and we'll hit run. So the first thing we did was we listed the versions of all the libraries that we have installed. So it'll show that right here, and you can see that we have our OpenCV version, that's the correct one, face recognition, that's the correct version. So we're good to go, we're not seeing any errors, everything's working fine. So as soon as it sees a face, it's going to put a dash there, and then it's going to detect who that person is, and it's going to say, hello, name, I see you. So here we go. It has already started to find people. So it's me. I'm just sitting right here in front of the computer, and this is working pretty well. So what I want to do is I can show you, we're always saving that image when it finds a face as one photo-new. So we can see right here, it constantly finds a face and saves that. Okay, so what we can do now is we can test this with faces from our list. So what I have here is I downloaded a few faces from the internet. Let's see how well this software works. Okay, so it knows it found me. Let's see if it can find somebody else. And there we go. It looks like it found Mark. So now there's two people in each picture, so you can see there's two names between each of the dash marks. Okay, so that's working pretty well. How about this face? Do you recognize this person? Let's see. So it sees me and an unknown person because we didn't put Jimmy in our list. Now if we look closely here, we actually see that there are two people in this picture. So I have to get it lined up correctly, but you can see there's a lady's face in the background too. It's also detecting her. It doesn't know who she is either. It doesn't always detect it because it's looking at an iPhone, but it's pretty good. So now here are two people. This one will detect pretty fine. Okay, so now we have me and we have Chris and we should have an unknown. Let's see, yep, there we go. So it detected everybody the way we'd hope it would. Okay, now the one thing that I was telling you before is that the hard cascade saves the face as a fingerprint and everybody's face is the same no matter what age they are. So we're going to do a test here and we're going to see if the computer can recognize who this person is. And look at that, it figured out who he was. That's Chris, about 15 or 20 years ago. I didn't have this picture saved as our image. I had this picture saved as our image of Chris. But it detected him, no problem. Here's another one. Let's see if we can find this guy. And, yep, there we go. sees me and it sees Mark. That's a picture of Mark about 15 or 20 years ago. And the original picture that we had with Mark, if you remember, was pretty recent. He looks totally different, but the computer can still tell the difference. So it's working pretty well. We can stop this, and then we can hit break. Okay, now that's it. We just created facial recognition software. All of this software is based on the Makerville Hero episodes that you can find by doing a Google search for Makerville Hero or going to Animation Films 1212. Of course, I'll put a link at the bottom of this in the description. And every time Mikey, our hero, goes on a new adventure and there's a new video release, a new episode, he'll come up with a new device, or when he comes up with a new device, I'll show you how you can build it at home for free, assuming you have a laptop or a computer with a web camera and a microphone. Have fun, and I'll see you on the next video.